Good morning, students. I hope you are doing very well. You are enjoying your holidays in the house, full of homework, projects, and a whole lot. I hope you are enjoying it. Yes. Meeting you once again. I'm coming to discuss or the continuation of our discussion. So last week we discussed about the various processes that you are supposed to go through before weaving. So they include planning and designing. So anytime you want to weave any fabric, you are supposed to sit down and plan. And during the planning stage, you plan about the number of yarns that you can put together to give you the number of yards that you want. So if you want 1 yard, it will depend upon the type of reed, the reed density that you will use. So the width of the reed density and then the individual dent in that reed density will give you the width of the fabric. We have discussed that. So now we have gone through the various processes, that is planning and designing. After planning and designing, getting everything set, you move to the warping. Then the warping stage, we also learned about the crossing. The warping stage, we have what is called crossing. So the crossing, we learned that the crossing determines the actual weaving. If you make any mistake in the crossing, everything, all the yarns will entangle. So we need to take particular attention when doing the warping, especially the crossing area. Then after warping, you take the yarns to the loom. And that one too, we learned about how to take the yarns to the loom. So here is the warping I'm talking about, you remember. And this is the crossing. So the way you cross it up, down, then you go back. So you finish. So when you finish, you are supposed to take it from the warping mill using a special knot. So here I will not go there. Then after that, we are supposed to, then the reason why we created the crosses, we discussed that one too. Then this is the beaming. You take it to the loom and start with your beaming with the help of your rattle. The rattle also looks like the reed, but the reed has small or smaller dents as compared to this rattle fixed on the loom to be able to do the proper beaming. So after beaming, you see the crosses here. You have two sticks inside the crosses. So this crosses is going to help you to determine which yarn you are supposed to pick and the next. So without these crosses, you can't do shedding. Okay, so you come to that. And we learned about the four shafts. So the students here are doing headling. So after warping, we move to beaming. And after beaming, we do headling. The headling is done with the help of your draft. You remember, when you do the design, you have the draft. So the draft is used here to guide you to do the headling. So this is the reed. This is the reed I was talking about. So after everything, after warping, you do what is called reading. And after reading or denting, we move to the tie up, where we tie the shafts to the treadles. You tie the shaft to the thread. I explained that one too. So after everything, the loom is now ready for weaving, and that you are supposed to wind your bobbins. Then you start the actual weaving. So after tie up, you prepare the weft for weaving. Okay, so when weaving, we use the loom to weave. So this morning, I'm coming to discuss about the loom, the various looms that we have. Okay, so what is the loom? The loom is a special device, it's a special tool, it's a special machine, an apparatus used for weaving in simple terms. So we have looms here. This is the normal one we use, the ones at the department. We have this one too at the department. And you also have this for your project. And we have this one you don't have it. This is an example of a table loom. So this one is a table loom, the traditional kente loom. This is the broad loom, the manual broad loom, and this is the frame loom, the frame loom. Okay, so we have two main types of looms. We have the manual looms, and then we have the power looms. The manual looms are the ones we can use, we operate with our own strength. In the example is the power loom here, the broad loom here, sorry. This is the broad loom. When we want to operate it, we operate it manually, using our strength, everything. There is no power, there's no electricity. So we have the power loom. The power looms use electricity. And that one, you just fix everything and just power it. And it's just weave whatever you want to weave. Okay, so the manual looms are operated manually by either the foot or the hand. Examples are the broad loom, the traditional kente loom, the table loom, then the frame loom that you are using. So what are the power looms? The power looms are mechanically operated, basically using electricity to automate the weaving process. And these looms are designed for high-speed, large-scale textile production. They weave very fast. When you get to the third year or so, will take you to the industry. So unlike the broad loom, which is foot and hand operated, and these looms are used in large textile industries. That is the broad the power looms to produce fabrics. So with the power looms too, we have two types. With the power looms, you have two types. You have those that use shuttle, and that one is called shuttle loom. Then we have those which do not use shuttle, and that one is called shuttless looms. Okay, so let's talk about the shuttle looms. So this is an example of a shuttle loom. Okay, it is called jacquard loom. So they use power. It's just like the broad loom, but this one uses power. And some of our broad looms are also electrically powered, and that one is used at the industry. Okay, so the shuttle loom is a weaving machine where weft insertion is done by traditional wooden or plastic shuttle. So the shuttle loom includes, we have the jacquard here, you have the circular loom, you have the dobby looms. Okay, so we can read more when we go online. Okay, so let's talk about the shuttless looms, those without using shuttle. So a shuttless loom is a weaving machine where weft insertion is done by various devices such as the rapier, air jets, water jet or spray, projector looms. You have the multi-spindle loom, multi-spindle math loom device. All these things use the yarn in a different way rather than using the shuttle to operate in the weaving process. So they don't use shuttle, but rather they use air. Some use air to direct the yarn. Others use rapier to direct the yarn. Others use projectiles to direct the yarn instead of shuttle. So they are called shuttleless looms. So examples of the looms are, we name them according to how we direct the yarn. So the projector looms, there's something like a small wire that we use to project the yarn. You have the air jet, water jet, rapier looms, and more. Okay, so these are examples. These are examples. So we have the projector looms, we have the rapier loom here, we have the air jet loom here, then we have the water jet loom. They have special way of inserting the yarn for operation. I want you to go to YouTube and just watch how they operate. It's very hot, interesting. Okay, you are supposed to know them, just that. Okay, so talking about the looms. Now you have realized that we have two main types of looms, the manual loom and then the power loom. And the manual looms are operated manually using your hand or your leg, that is the foot. And then the power looms are operated by electricity. And the power looms are also subdivided into two. Those that uses shuttle and those without using what? Shuttle. And that one is called shuttleless looms. Now, if we are ready to do virtual weaving, there are some motions that will help us to weave. Let's talk about these motions. So the motions on the loom. So these motions are the basic mechanisms on the loom. And there are basically three. The first one is the primary motion, the secondary motion, and then the auxiliary motion. So let's talk about the secondary motion. The secondary motion, there are three: shedding, picking, and bitter. They happen at the same time. In other words, they synchronize. So one cannot be done without the two. So you shall look at them. The secondary motions you have let off and take up, they also happen at the same time. Then you have the auxiliary motions. That one is motions that are used on the power looms. Those looms that use electricity or uses the auxiliary motions. Okay. So the primary motion, these are compulsory for weaving. They are compulsory for the weaving processes and are responsible for the actual interlacing of the warp and weft yarn during weaving. So during weaving, you are supposed to open the shed, remembering the crosses. If the crosses are in place and you step on the treadle, one treadle, the shed will open, just like here. So with the plain weave, you tie 1 and 3 to one treadle and 2 and 4 to another treadle, and 1 and 3 to one shaft, and 2 and 4 to another shaft. So when you tie the 1 and 3 to one treadle and 2 and 4 to another treadle, and you step on one of the treadles, let's say the first one is 1 and 3. So you step on it, all the yarns on that shaft will move down. 1 and 3 will move down. Then 2 and 4, all the shaft on it will also stay up, creating a shed for you, like you can see here. So this is the open sheet of the warp, so that you can put in your shuttle. And the shuttle is containing this yarn, that is the weft yarn. So as soon as you put this, as soon as the shed is opened, as soon as this shed is opened, the weft yarn is laid with the help of the shuttle. And as you lay the shed, as soon as you take the shuttle from the shed, you are supposed to beat it at the weft yarn to form part of the woven yarn. So where you are seeing the very end receiving the new yarn is called fell, F-E-L-L, the fell of the cloth. So you use the reed, this is the reed, to beat it up so that it will come and form part of the already woven fabric. So shedding, after shedding, pick up. Pick up is where you put in the yarn. So that is the picking. So shedding, picking, then beat up. These are the primary motions, and they happen at the same time. In other way, they synchronize. Shedding, picking, beat up. Shedding, picking, beat up. Shedding, picking, beat up. So in so doing, you are putting in the yarn one after the other, and you are packing them to create a bigger fabric, and that is weaving. Okay, I hope you understand it. So let's move on to the secondary motion, now that you know of the basic motions. So the secondary motions, in the course of your weaving, picking, shedding, picking, beater, shedding, picking, beater, the whole place, you have woven all the yarns in front of you into a fabric. Now you have no place to weave again. You have no space to weave again. It means that you are supposed to what? Wind the already woven fabric to another beam on the loom so that you can get fresh ones to weave. So if that happens, you need secondary motions to help you. You need the secondary motions to help you. And that is, the secondary motions are designed in such a way that when the warp is being woven, fabric is being wound up onto the cloth beam simultaneously, thereby ensuring a continuous weaving friction. So the first one is take up. So you have the take up and then the let off. They happen at the same time. So check this. Now you have woven this empty the fresh warp yarns. Now you have put in the yarn and you have woven them into fabric. So all you see here is fabric. Because of that, we cannot open the shed. So it means that you need to wind all this to this beam so that you get fresh ones to weave. So as soon as you start winding this onto the cloth beam, another one here, the fresh warp yarns will come. So the fresh warp yarns will come here as you wind this onto the cloth beam. So this one is the let off. So the take-up function, the function of the motion is to wind up the already woven fabric onto the cloth beam. So we are winding this onto the cloth beam. And as you do it, fresh ones will also come from the other beam. So fresh ones will automatically come for you to weave. And that one is the take and the let off. So whilst you do the take up, then there is a let off. So the take up is already woven fabric going onto the cloth beam, and let off is the fresh yarns coming from the back beam for you to weave. I hope you understand it. Okay. So the let off. This motion gradually releases the warp beam to be woven into into fabric. So the warp beam there releases the warp yarns or the warp ends for you to get a sheet to weave. So that is the let off motion. Take up takes the already woven one onto the cloth beam, and let off releases already wound fresh yarns onto the working area for you to weave. I hope you understand it. Okay. So the auxiliary motions. These auxiliary motions are helping motions on the industry. They help because during the weaving process, everything is automated. It means that it's, it's power, electricity, which is doing everything. And for that matter, if there is yarn break or one yarn uh, the bobbin is finished, the loom cannot tell you because there's no human being sitting at that time. So they have put in mechanisms that will indicate that there's a problem. So come and fix it so that I can move on with the weaving. So these mechanisms are called auxiliary motions. So we have the warp stop. Okay. So these are helping motions and devices that are functional on the power looms for effective weaving to take place. These motions include warp stop, weft supply, shuttle box empty. So when there is warp stop, this stops the loom automatically so that we do the right thing and start the loom again. There is the warp, one of them is what? One of the yarns has broken. So we need to amend that yarn so that we can start the loom. Weft stop will also stop if there is the interlacing ones. If there is a problem with the interlacing ones, the machine will stop for you to do the needful so that you start the loom again. If the weft yarn, the bobbin is empty, the machine will indicate that there's a problem. Then the indicator will show weft stop motion. So you go there and check. And after everything, you start the machine. So any problem that will happen, there's an indicator that will indicate where the problem is so that you fix the problem, then you start the machine. So these are the auxiliary motions, the helping motions on the power loom. I hope this one too is okay. Good. Now let's move on to loom parts and loom accessories. Loom parts and loom accessories. What are loom parts and what are loom accessories? Okay. So the loom parts are the main parts that form the loom. the skeleton that form the loom, like your body. We have body parts. Your head is part of your body. Your hand, your legs, your eyes, your nose, they are part of your body. So when a baby is born, you see all these things. You will come with it. So they are the body parts. And apart from these body parts, if you want to go anywhere, you want to dress up. So you need what? Some clothing on you to be able to go out. Without this clothing, the body cannot go. Or you go out as a mad person. So these are accessories. So body parts are very important because they form part of the loom. The treadles here are the body parts. We have the back beam and then the front beam. They are all body parts. We have the header and the shafts. They are body parts. We have the the shafts. We have the ratchet pawls and so many of them. We have the head roller. We have the cloth roller. We have the cross beam, the front post, this one. They are all part of the loom. They make up the loom. But without the accessories, the weaving cannot take place. And what are these accessories? So we have the reed hook. Yes, we have put the yarns on the loom, but to be able to put them inside the reed, which is also an accessory, you need what? The reed hook to be able to help you. Without that, you can never do the weaving. Then you have the warping mill. Now, after planning and designing, you need to pack all the yarns before you can take them to the loom. This one is not part of the loom, but without this one, you cannot what? You cannot weave. So it's a weaving accessory. Then we have the shuttles. You need to carry the weft yarn when the shed is open, so you can throw in your weft yarn. You need the shuttles. So without the shuttle, you cannot do actual weaving, especially with the manual looms. And this one too is an accessory. It is not part of the loom, but without it, no proper weaving can take place. This is the raddle. The raddle is like the reed, but they have bigger dents. You see, bigger than they are used, or it is used when we are doing beaming to spread out the yarns. So another name is called a spreader. You use after taking the warp yarn. You see, we have put it in such a way like a like a fabric that you have squeezed, right? So we need to open up. So in opening up, you use the raddle. You use the raddle so that you can see the colors coming out nicely. And after that, you do your actual hook beaming. So without this, when you take it out, this is a warping board, this is a warping mill, and this is the warping board. They are the same. They do the same thing, or they have the same function. You see, you have the crosses over there. 1, 2, 3, the crosses are there. Okay. So after putting this yarn, you are supposed to remove it. You see it. So when you remove it, you use this one rattle, and all these warping board, warping mill, they are all hot accessories. Without them, you cannot do proper weaving. Then you have the bobbins. The bobbins are for the interlacing. They carry the weft yarn for you to be able to do the beat up and then the shedding, the picking, and then the beat up. They are supposed to help you to do the actual weaving. So these are accessories. So we have the shell sticks. The shell sticks are also not what? Part of the loom. But I have told you, when we're doing the warping, you need the crosses. So the crosses, when you remove the warp yarns from the warping mill, you need these to do the crosses. You need to put them in the crossing area so that this one will help you to create the shed. So they are called shed sticks. They are called sheds. This one will, you put one here and then the other one here. So they will always guide the weaving process. So it is not part of the loom, but without it, you cannot do actual weaving. And this is the reed. You see, the dents are too small, and that is the closeness will give you the impact of the fabric. So it is 24 inch, which we always use for the normal uh, calico cloth, then we have another one for the the chiffon. You see, it have close setup. So that one we are not going to use the 24. You use about 48 or 56-inch reed. Okay. So that is about the loom accessory. So they are not part of the loom, but without it, without the loom accessories, no proper weaving can take place. So these are the differences. The loom part are the main part of the loom that form the skeletal uh, body of the loom. And then the loom accessories are the helping devices that will help you to do actual weaving. Okay, so on this note, we are done with this semester's work. All that we're supposed to do is to do the actual practical weaving. So, and that is the project you are doing. See you another time. Thank you. Hello,